This past week, the folks over at reMarkable released their new 3.0 software. It has a bunch of new features, but is it ready for everyday use? I've been using the betas for the last 2 months, and in this video I'll give you my thoughts on those, along with 5 reasons you should and 1 reason you shouldn't update to the new 3.0 software. The first reason you should update is the new vertical scrolling. For me, it is a complete game changer where no longer am I limited to this A4 size sheet of paper. I used to commonly find myself in a scenario where I'd be right at the end of some crucial sentence or sketch just to realize that I had run out of space and I didn't have any room to finish it. Now you can just swipe up with one finger from the bottom to give yourself extra room. This has completely changed the way I organize my tablet. Instead of having multiple pages, I can now have a single page for each day's notes. Sometimes if I'm working on something crucial, I'll give it its own dedicated page, but overall, everything is so much more cleanly organized. When I did the reMarkable 3 initial impressions video, I had just installed the update, and I made the feature look hard to use. Now that I've used it for a bit, it's become complete second nature, and I have a hard time imagining going back. This feature makes switching back to my other tablets, or even GoodNotes on the iPad, incredibly difficult. Just to recap the new interactions, you can now pinch in and out with 2 fingers to zoom, you can slide with 2 fingers for hyper-precise scrolling, but majority of the time I will just use 1 finger swipe to scroll half a page at a time. Speaking of gestures, that takes us into reason number 2, which is undo and redo. You can now easily undo with a quick 2-finger tap or redo with a 3-finger tap. If you're a longtime watcher of the channel, you'll know that Supernote's 2-finger hold to enable erase is one of my favorite features of all ink tablets. reMarkable's implementation of it isn't quite as powerful as Supernote's, but it's pretty darn close. And now I can use a pen without an eraser and I don't even miss it. Well done, reMarkable. Reason number 3 is landscape mode. The new implementation of landscape mode is excellent. Previously, landscape mode would just change the layout of the tools on screen, but the orientation of your document wasn't actually changed. Now each page has a dedicated orientation, and that's maintained in the apps and on export. Previous pages that were portrait are now properly rotated when I've turned on landscape mode. Historically, I've used portrait mode on all of my tablets, but since this feature was introduced, I now exclusively use landscape mode, and I'm convinced that this is the best way to use the reMarkable in 2023. Combined with the new scrollable pages, it effectively makes the workspace on the reMarkable larger. Because my other tablets don't have good support for landscape mode, I continue to use those in portrait. Reason number 4 is the performance is good. The fear with any new software, and especially with betas, is that they're going to be slow or buggy. They added a bunch of new features in this release, but the performance is just as snappy as it was on the 2.15 software. If you're good with the performance on your reMarkable now, then you'll be just fine on the 3.0 software as well. Writing performance is just as smooth as ever. On a completely non-scientific note, I think battery life may be ever so slightly worse on the new software than it was on 2.15, but it's still very good. I use my reMarkable a ton each day, and I find myself charging it about once a week. Honestly, I have a hard time remembering because I don't really think about it. It stays on my desk, and when it says it's low, I plug it in. But in order to try and get you guys a better estimate, I charged it to full yesterday, and now about the same time today, I'm at 86%. So it's about 14% a day, so assuming that's consistent across the entire battery range, that's a little over 7 days. I use it a little bit less on weekends, so in practice it's probably a little over a full week between charges. There is this new feature called Sync Before Sleep that's under the storage settings. Basically what it does is before the tablet goes to sleep, it'll sync your changes to the cloud. I think it's a great idea, but once I turned it on, I found the notification in the bottom corner a bit annoying. If it were to sync without a notification, that would be awesome, but for now I've decided to turn it back off. Reason number 5 is partially a pro and partially a con. The new handwriting conversion is now done directly on the device instead of via email, which opens up a bunch of new flexibility. But if you were a user that depended on that send to email and pulling the text directly out of the body of the email, as far as I know, that feature is gone in the 3.0 software, so you might want to hold out if that's crucial for you. With that said, the detection is very, very good. Probably the best of any of the tablets I've used, so that means it's better than the Booksnote Air 2 Plus, the Supernote A5X, and the Kindle Scribe, which doesn't have handwriting conversion at all. In general, I'm skeptical of the usefulness of handwriting conversion on e-ink tablets, mostly because historically it's required so much cleanup that it wasn't worth the effort. On multiple occasions, I've expected to have to type up a document that was sketched out on the reMarkable, but was pleasantly surprised to see that the reMarkable got it mostly right. I might have to change a company name here or there, but the algorithm they're using for handwriting detection is seriously good. To put it simply, I think the reMarkable 3 is a major update for reMarkable. They've improved general usability and also quality of life with shortcuts like undo and redo. They've upgraded how I organize my pages by giving me truly scrolling paper. But if you've seen one of my videos in the past, you'll know that I always have a section in here for cons and other ways they can continue to improve. So firstly, I don't think the new typing experience is particularly useful, at least not for my use case. I have dedicated tools for type notes, and I have a hard time seeing a future where I would use reMarkable over something like Obsidian. With that said, if you do see a use case for this, let me know down in the comments because I've had a really hard time figuring one out. Next up is, despite the handwriting detection being very, very good, I find the line breaks in handwriting conversion are a bit quirky. The system obviously understands them and where they should be, and handles them correctly in the reMarkable app, but they don't paste out correctly. So instead of being able to copy my content directly out of the reMarkable app into my destination, I first have to paste it into my code editor, do a find replace on this weird little character, and then paste it in. It seems like a silly, unnecessary step, and you shouldn't have to be a programmer to easily get handwriting output. Speaking of handwriting, now that they have handwriting recognition directly on the device, they should try doing it in the background to index your notes, so that you could search across your entire notebook to find where you mentioned something. Perhaps they could do this right before the device is about to sleep so that it wouldn't interfere with your writing process. The supernote's in the process of rolling out something similar, and it'd be great to see full text indexing and search on the reMarkable as well. A major use case for me is drawing and highlighting, and I find it infuriating that I can't quickly switch between the two. I'd like to be able to keep the UI collapsed so that I can focus on my work. Now it's 3 taps to swap to the highlighter, and then 3 taps again when I'm done to switch back. Now that you guys have embraced gestures, give us a gesture for this, or at least give us a way where we can pin a tool that we use often to the sidebar. It seems silly that swapping tools is behind multiple taps. While we're on the topic of menus, I think I speak for the majority of lefties out there when I say it's annoying that I can't use the device for any period of time without accidentally hitting this little X to go to the main menu. I generally keep the menu closed because I have to, but if I do leave the sidebar open even for a few moments, I instantly trigger this. The new landscape mode is great, but I find it bizarre that the My Files UI doesn't react to it. The authoring experience is very polished, and again, in my opinion, the best way to use the device. But the fact that the entire tablet doesn't react to it makes it feel only partially complete. I think reMarkable's cloud syncing is really, really good, but I wish it did it more frequently in the background. And I find it annoying that I have to leave a document just to force a sync. This could be as simple as just giving us a sync button to force it, even if it's under an other menu. My last con, and perhaps the only reason you shouldn't update to reMarkable 3, is the fact that third-party hacks and services don't yet support the new format from the reMarkable. So if you're a DDVK hack user, you'll want to wait if you can't live without those features. I've found that most of the features I use from DDVK are handled well in the reMarkable 3, but I do miss the quick gesture for tool switching. If you truly don't want to update, and again, for most users, I'd say there's no reason not to, here's how you can do it. Go to the home screen from the notebook that you're likely in, open the menu in the bottom left, go to Settings, tap on Software from General Settings, and then set Automatic Updates to off. Thank you so much for watching. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out on content like this in the future, and you can help me out by liking and sharing this video. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments, or if you want to chat further, come by the Knowledge Workers Discord. I'll have a link to that and everything else that I mentioned in this video down in the description. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably also be interested in my favorite pen to use with the reMarkable. I'll have that linked over here on the side. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.